Welcome to the second hour of For the Record here on Law and Crime. I'm Angenette Levy, and thanks for joining us this afternoon. We have a lot to talk about. We are coming to you live from the Fairfax County Courthouse in Fairfax, Virginia. Judge Regina Chu has just sentenced Kim Potter to 24 months in prison for the shooting death of Daunte Wright. Welcome to Law and Crime Daily. I'm Angenette Levy, in for Brian Buckmeyer, and with me, as always, is co-host Terry Austin. There are 100 wristbands to get into that main courtroom. And so I was number 76 here at 6 a.m. We have breaking news out of the federal courthouse in Manhattan, where Ghislaine Maxwell has been sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. This is really one of the most important parts of the trial, because those 12 jurors who are finally selected will determine Derek Chauvin's guilt or innocence. There's a lot of detail. It's tedious, but it's important. Dina Dahl is with us from California. She is an attorney and legal analyst for us here at Law and Crime, and Fanon Rucker is a retired judge. Terry, do you think that Ghislaine Maxwell should have testified? If you object, who rules on the objection? It's the judge. So,
well, I'll get him with the next judge. The appellate judge.
Okay, got it. Jury selection will start then, and I will be there. And when we come back, we're going to talk about it. So stay with us. You're watching For the Record on Law and Crime. Good morning to you, Jesse. He is not on the stand. His testimony ended yesterday with redirect by his attorney, Jessica Myers. The line was still pretty long, though, this morning. I got here at 6 a.m. I was number 76 in line. So that tells you how early people are getting here. So, you know, and as you know, you've been here. 100 people, there are 100 wristbands to get into that main courtroom. And so I was number 76 here at 6 a.m. The line then started filling up behind me. So there were still many, many people here bright and early this morning to see Johnny Depp. I think they just want to be in the courtroom. I also think they just want to hear the testimony and see it firsthand, to experience it. And all these people that I'm seeing show up are mostly Johnny Depp fans. I haven't seen any Amber Heard fans this morning. That could change. I may meet them in the courthouse. I will let you know if I do. But yesterday was a very busy day. As you know, Johnny Depp's cross-examination resumed first thing in the morning with Ben Rottenborn, an attorney for Amber Heard, really laying into Johnny Depp and going after him hard. He started out by asking Johnny Depp whether or not...
I said yes.
And that was how the redirect by Jessica Myers ended. And there was no recross by Amber Heard's lawyer. Amber Heard's December 2018 Washington Post op-ed was written in part by lawyers from the ACLU. Heard had become an ACLU ambassador after agreeing to donate half of her divorce settlement from Johnny Depp to the organization.
Yeah, based on my review of prior drafts of the op-ed, I knew that there were that she was referring to Johnny Depp and her marriage.
ACLU General Counsel Terrence Doherty was deposed last December. This is the online version of the op-ed, in which Heard described being a survivor of sexual violence and domestic abuse. She wrote that 2 years prior, in 2016, she had become a public figure representing domestic abuse. There were emails between Heard's camp and the ACLU about how much Johnny Depp should be mentioned.
And isn't it true that Ms. Heard's advisors initially revised the draft to remove any reference to Ms. Heard's marriage or divorce?
I recall a number of email communications back and forth among ACLU personnel and Ms. Heard's attorneys, where they were suggesting edits to the op-ed relating to matters covered in the NDA.
And then isn't it also true that there were some at the ACLU who expressed their belief that excising those references to her marriage and divorce from Johnny Depp made the op-ed less impactful, correct?
It is correct. That is correct.
The op-ed was pitched to a number of publications.
And she writes, "Hey, Michael, wondering if we might interest you in a piece by Amber Heard, who, as you may recall, was beaten up during her brief marriage to Johnny Depp, on what the incoming Congress can do to help protect women in similar situations." Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you read it correctly.
As you know by now, the op-ed was published in December 2018. The timing, according to Doherty's testimony, was important to Amber Heard.
Ms. Heard said in words or substance that she wanted the op-ed to come out soon after Aquaman, correct?
I believe that's correct.
Amber Heard's team maintains that she told the truth in that op-ed, so no defamation occurred. Coming up later, we're going to tell you about just how much Amber Heard has donated to the ACLU and how Elon Musk is involved. Reporting from Fairfax County, Virginia, I'm Angenette Levy for Law and Crime Daily. Welcome to Law and Crime Daily. I'm Angenette Levy in for Brian Buckmeyer, and with me as always is co-host Terry Austin. Well, the decision is now in the jury's hands after the defense and the prosecution made closing arguments in the trial of Kim Potter. The prosecution opened by saying that Daunte Wright will not be with his family this Christmas or any other Christmas for that matter. He is no longer with us. And prosecutors also said that Potter, a 26-year police veteran, was negligent and reckless when she shot and killed Daunte Wright during that traffic stop last April. Prosecutor Aaron Eldridge walked the jury through what happened on April 11th, playing the body camera footage frame by frame. Eldridge pointed out that Potter's decades of experience in firearms training, saying she was up to date on policies, but she was still rash and reckless. Before finishing, Eldridge reminded the jury this case is not about whether Potter is sorry, remorseful, or a good person. She told them to make their decision based on the facts and around Potter's choice to use force. Now, the defense objected throughout the state's rebuttal arguments, saying it wasn't really a true rebuttal because it was so prepared, but the judge overruled the defense's objections. Kim Potter faces charges of first and second degree manslaughter stemming from the shooting death of Wright during that traffic stop in Brooklyn Center just outside of Minneapolis. This happened during the Derek Chauvin trial. Officers pulled Wright over for an expired tag. They determined Wright had a warrant out for his arrest. Body camera footage shows officers attempting to take him into custody. There was a struggle, and then Wright tried to take off. Potter then shot him in the chest when he got into his car. His car sped away, hit another cart, and Wright died. Potter maintains she accidentally pulled her service weapon instead of her taser. Closing arguments came after emotional testimony from Potter on Friday when she testified. Now, joining Terry and I today is former prosecutor Matt Mangino. Matt, thanks so much for joining us. I'm wondering, what did you think of the prosecution's closing argument? And Terry, I'm wondering what you thought of the defense closing argument. Earl Grey, always an interesting character. Very interesting. We're going to see what the jury does with all of it, how they digest this, and what decision they come to. Thanks to both of you. Now we're moving on to the state of Colorado, and that's where there's a case where millions of people have signed a petition to reduce the prison sentence for a man who was convicted in a crash that killed 4 people and injured many, many others. Now, in 2019, Rahel Aguilera Medeiros lost control of his 18-wheeler when his brakes failed. He came upon traffic that was stopped because of another crash, and instead of taking a ramp, he drove on the shoulder before crashing into several other vehicles. Aguilera Medeiros was found guilty of 27 counts, including vehicular homicide, last October. The judge in the case said his hands were essentially tied when it came to sentencing Aguilera Medeiros to consecutive sentences. Now, more than 4.3 million people are asking the governor of Colorado to reduce the sentence, calling the crash an accident. The petition claims the company that employed Aguilera Medeiros had several mechanical violations during inspections. The judge can actually reduce the sentence within 91 days after the Department of Corrections evaluates Aguilera Medeiros. Well, still ahead on Law and Crime Daily, we are in verdict watch in the federal fraud trial for Theranos CEO Elizabeth Holmes. But first, a 19-year-old man reaches yet another settlement with a high-profile news outlet. The latest in the defamation case brought on by Nicholas Sandman when we come back. Well, Terry, I'll start with you on this one. What do you think of the defense pointing the finger at Elizabeth Holmes' former boyfriend, Sunny Balwani? They really said he was the bad guy here. Matt, where do you think this case is going? What do you think the jury's going to do with it?